Hello everyone, it is Dylan from Yugioh Everything, and welcome back to another Q&A video. I believe this is my 9th Q&A video, which is just insane, but this is the segment where I do once a month where I take all the questions you guys have asked me, and I answer them in this video, so the video obviously is going to be much longer than normal, but you guys know how this works by now, I'm sure most of you do. If you do want to ask me a question, use one of these three formats in the comments below. Again, this is the video that I mainly check for comments. I usually get enough questions in the comment section of these videos, so if you ask them in other videos, I probably won't see them, but if you could put them down below, I really appreciate it. As always, I cannot thank you guys enough for all the questions that you sent me. If I missed your question, I do apologize. As you guys know, it is pretty impossible to answer every single question. The video would be like 4 hours, which is amazing that you guys care that much about my opinion on different things. It really is an honor, and even though this segment is a bit long and can be a real pain for me to edit, because it always reminds me how awesome you guys are, and if it wasn't for you guys, I really wouldn't be doing this. But anyway, enough with the mushy stuff. We're gonna get right into it. I really hope you guys enjoy. There might be timestamps down below. Sometimes I get lazy because I take, 5-6 hours editing, and then I just want to get the video out and I don't put timestamps, but check the description anyway. Maybe there will be them down below if you want to skip to any questions. But I always title the video the first question that I think is interesting or relevant or whatever standards that I might think it is. And this is from Steve Ishtar 109. Hello, do you ever get bored of doing just Yu-Gi-Oh? I love Yu-Gi-Oh too, but would you ever consider doing other anime reviews or something like that? Love your work. So this is a very interesting question, and I think it ties into the intro, the mushy intro that I just gave. The answer is no. I really do not get bored of doing this. I just love Yu-Gi-Oh, but again, I just am always amazed at how many people respond in the comment section below when I give a review or when I give a theory, and it's just for the most part always positive responses. And even if it's negative responses, they're not directed towards me, they're directed towards the show, which is which is fine. And then of course you get the trolls every now and then, but the trolls exist, you got to deal with them. But for the most part, I do not get the trolls at all. Another funny glitch that I see here is, for whatever reason, it says this question was answered 1 second ago. I guess that chalk it up to YouTube logic, but I can tell you I was not waiting for a question and then quickly screenshot it. I just noticed that the question says 1 second ago. I have no idea why that's the case. That is extremely bizarre. But anyway, back on topic. The thing that drives me really is you guys, and I know every YouTuber says that, but I try to really make that point valid by what I do. I do the Fan Fridays now. I'm going to be doing more contests in the future. I already have a drawing contest. That's until the end of November. If you guys are interested in that, definitely check that video out if you haven't heard of it already. You have to draw the 6th protagonist. Whoever gets closer gets a prize, and I'm going to be doing more fun contests like that, maybe every time I hit like a milestone subscriber mark or something along those lines. So even though, I love talking about Yu-Gi-Oh! I love ranting about it. I love watching it. It really is the interaction with you guys that has driven me to this point and keeps me going, and I just cannot thank you guys enough. Would I ever consider doing something else? I'll tell you, if I was not in school and I didn't have a job, a channel called Pokemon Everything would probably be in the works. I really do mean that. I probably would have binge-watched the Pokemon anime or the Digimon anime, one of those two shows, and done a similar channel towards that. The problem is I really feel like picking up now, I was thinking about doing Sun and Moon reviews, I actually was, but I don't think I'm going to do that. I'm leaning towards no. Not only because the Pokemon anime market is a little more saturated, it's a little more competitive, but I don't have the knowledge that I do with Yu-Gi-Oh! With Yu-Gi-Oh!, in a couple of months I'll have read all the mangas. I already have watched all the animes. I'm already, live up to the animes. I've watched some of the animes 2 times over. With Pokemon, I've seen a few episodes here and there, but I haven't watched enough to feel confident doing reviews, and even though Sun and Moon might not have anything to do with the older shows, I like comparing things to older shows, as you guys probably know by now, so that's why I'm not really leaning towards doing that. And also, I just don't have the time. I've put so much, it takes a lot of time putting out 4 or 5 videos with the Yu-Gi-Oh! Content that I do, and between college and between schoolwork, I don't want to say I don't have much of a social life, but a lot of my time does go to this channel, and I'm very happy doing it. And again, I love the community, and I love doing these videos. And so no, I am not bored of doing this at all. I am very content with Yu-Gi-Oh! Because again, the Fantasy Duel segment has 1 video. That's on a bit of a hiatus. I promise that will become every 4 to 6 weeks once I finish the GX and Zexal manga. The character versus anime analysis, that's another series that's in its baby stages. And we have a probably a new Yu-Gi-Oh show. I always have to say probably because it's not confirmed, right around the corner. So a lot of good things coming from Yu-Gi-Oh. I'm not bored with it. I am going to stick with just Yu-Gi-Oh for now, but I do want you guys to let me know if I was, this is all hypothetical, I'm not planning on doing more videos or more reviews or starting another channel. If I was to do another anime, which anime do you think I would enjoy? Do you think I would enjoy Pokemon, Digimon, Yokai Watch, or just any other anime, that One Piece, something like that, or an anime that you would like to see me get into? Again, that's hypothetical. 99% that will not happen, but I am curious to see what you guys say about all that. So, for now, Yu-Gi-Oh! Perfectly content, and I have a lot of great content in the future coming. There's a lot of theories that I have about previous shows that I haven't really expanded on. I do theories again every 4 to 5 months, but I love making those videos. I have a lot of top 5 lists that I've kind of put on stalemate that I'll be getting into once Arc 5 ends, so I think there is still plenty of content for Yu-Gi-Oh! And for the next 6 months to a year, I'm more than content and I'm more than looking forward to continuing making Yu-Gi-Oh! Videos and expanding what is already a fantastic community. So the Lion Turtle asks, so I've been having an idea for a Yu-Gi-Oh! Mini-series, which is that all the main duelists all have a tournament, screw the timeline, each of the brackets are the 5 series, and I want to ask you, who do you think would make it to the top of each bracket? No main characters, because they would obviously win every bracket, except maybe Arc 5. That's a great question, and we got a similar question from Myair. Apologize if I butchered that name. Would you like the 6th series to be a 60-episode grand tournament with characters from all series with upgraded decks? I feel like this question has come up before. I feel like Junior RC, who's a longtime fan of the channel, you've probably seen his name come up in these Q&As, I feel like he asked me a while ago something similar towards this, but it's been a while since I talked about it. I would love something like this, and I like the hypothetical here. Who would make it to the top of each bracket? Duel Monsters, I'm going to say Janucci. For some reason, I think Janucci might actually thrive in that, if we're not picking main characters. Again, no main characters change the whole thing. So I think Janucci from Duel Monsters. From GX, I'm going to say either Manjome, Sho, or Ryo Marufuji. It depends. If this is after GX ends, it would be Sho. If it's like in the middle of GX, it would be Ryo. And Manjome is always a wild card. All the rivals are going to be wild cards in this. 5Ds have to pick Jack Atlas. Zexal have to pick Kaito. And then Arc 5, I have to pick Akaba Reiji. And I know that's very boring. No main characters. I pretty much picked all the rivals, so I do apologize for that. But those honestly are the strongest characters from each series that I think would make it. But to answer this question and the other question, Myers' question, yes, absolutely. I would love to see something like this. But it will never happen. It would just be, it's like the Yu-Gi-Oh! Generations idea. It would be very expensive. There would be a lot of costs in terms of not only re-HDing all the characters. I really don't know how much that would cost and how time-consuming that would be, but you'd have to pay for every single voice actors. And what if Quattro and Akaba Reiji face off? They have the same voice actor. There's a lot of mixes. I know Honest from GX and Jack Atlas. I doubt Honest would be in this. You know, he played a mini role in Season 4, but still, there's a lot of voice actor crossovers. I'm sure there's a lot more that I haven't even named, so that would be a bit of an issue, but I would love to see it happen. I just don't think it would ever happen. Nexus Shark asks, so now since we learned that people's memories have been erased during the dimensional split, do you think this is why characters like Jack and Kaito have a different history from their original series? The answer to this is yes, and Nexus Shark asked me this before my theory, and I'm not sure if he agrees with my theory or somewhat agrees with my theory. I'm surprised the positive reception I got on that theory because it's a very subjective theory. I think that's actually the most subjective theory. I make a lot of stretches in that theory. I'm well aware of that. I actually think the Seto Kaiba one has more factual evidence, and the Judai vs. Yugi one has more factual evidence, a lot more. But I've gotten positive reception, and again, that's just an atonement to you guys. Where even if you disagree with the theory, you were still very respectful about it. And as always, I really do appreciate it because I do really go through the comment section a lot and try to answer as many as I can. But going back to that, yes, I think that in a way, Zarc revived, this is what I'm starting to lean towards, Zarc revived these original characters, and so Jack and Kaito were characters that he brought back from the original timeline, from the very early days of Yu-Gi-Oh!, for whatever reason, and they don't remember anything from the original timeline because their memories have been altered. That's my theory, and again, it is a stretch. If you haven't seen that video, I would appreciate it if you check it out, but that's what I think. What do you guys think about this? Do you think this is the same Jack and Kaito from the original series, just with slightly different cards and slightly different personalities? That's what I'm starting to believe. Or do you think it's just non-canon to the original universe at all? Will Fan of Many, if the U-Boys fuse into Zarc, could the strong feelings and memories of them affect Zarc? So I guess what the question is really asking is, will Yuya, Yugo, and Yuto, who have strong feelings for Rin, Yuri, and Yuzu, I just went completely out of order, would they affect Zarc, and would their feelings affect Zarc? It's very interesting, because we know that we should assume, I think it's safe to assume, that Ray and Zarc do know each other, and they did maybe have a bit of a relationship going back to the original timeline, because it really seems that Zarc does care for Ray to some degree. But then there's other times where Zarc, you know, obviously what he said to Ray right before he got killed, I just wonder if there's an extra evil that we don't realize. You know what I mean? If we have the 4 U-boys and maybe there's a 5th entity or a reason that they're being maybe possessed by darkness or something like that, I wonder if that's the case, but I think that the feelings could affect them, but it seems... You know, but then when Yuya was attacking Leo and Yuzu said stop, Yuya stopped his attack. So even when Yuya was in the middle of being... But now, was that Yuya, though, or was that Zarc? I don't know. It's very confusing for me to make an assumption there, but what do you guys think? Do you think that when Zarc is revived, will he care about Ray and care about the Bracelet Girls, if Ray isn't already revived at that point? Or do you think that it's just going to be a situation where he is only bent on destruction and is only bent on destroying all of the dimensions? I'm starting to lean towards the latter, but it'll definitely be interesting to see Zarc's thought process when he does kind of inevitably be revived. Ace Grit asks, why do you think the most 5Ds characters showed up? Well, I mean, yeah, for the main series, 2 from 5Ds, 1 from Zexal, and 2 from GX, but when you look at it past that, you had Jaeger that showed up in 5Ds. You had a few... You did have a decent amount of 5Ds characters, and I think the reason for that is you have to remember this. We were in Synchro for the longest amount of time out of any... I guess Standard would be a little longer than Synchro, but we were in Synchro for at least, I think, 45, 50 episodes. And if this show is less than 150 episodes, we were in Synchro for a third of the show, so they had to fill up Synchro. They had to fill up with 5D's characters, unless they wanted to make new character designs, compared to Heartland, where we were in for 12 episodes. And I feel like besides Kaito, there was a character who was maybe online waiting for food when Sayaka ran off and they ran into the Tyler twins. I feel there was a mini cameo there, and a lot of these 5D's characters were mini cameos, but I think the main reason is that we were in Synchro for the longest amount of time. I mean, in GX, we have Edo and Asuka. Now, we did have Ryo Marufuji on the board. I don't know if you want to count that as a cameo. We also had characters that looked very similar to Bastion, and some people said to Judai, to Ryo Marufuji, which again, was this him? Probably not, but very similar characters. Were those supposed to be? Was that supposed to be Bastion? I guess we will never know. But the reason I think more 5D's characters than any other characters, we spent a ridiculously long amount of time in the Synchro world. Charlotte Taylor, do you think any new monsters will be introduced when Zarc and Ray come, and what deck do you think they will use? That's a great question. I think from Zarc's perspective, yes, a new monster will be introduced, and it will be some crazy massive dragon. Now, whether it's like a fusion, an XZ's, a synchro dragon, or maybe a ritual dragon of all the 4, like Odd Eyes, Dark Rebellion, Clearwing, and Star Venom, maybe all 4 dragons have to be on the field for a ritual kind of summon, and you have this crazy massive dragon that comes out. I think that would be really cool. From Ray's perspective, maybe she'll use like a life deck, because I feel like that's been the theme with Ray. Like Leo created all these 4 different cards about the beauty of life or the naturalness of life. I forget the exact thing, but maybe Ray's ace monster will be kind of like an angel or something like that to symbolize life. That's just really a shot in the dark. I think it will be very cool. I think they definitely will use new decks, and I think this Zarc versus Ray, this very well could be the final duel of the show. That's what I'm starting to believe, in terms of like good versus evil, not the final ceremonial duel that every show has. But I'm very excited to see both of these characters, and I think they're both going to be revived probably within the next 10 episodes, definitely within the next 10 episodes, I would say. So we're definitely getting close to seeing, for all these questions to be answered. Yes Man asks, I asked the other day, but I guess it was too late, what do you think about the idea that the end of the series, the Akabas adopt Serena? I think it would be touching in a way. They get Ray back, the next best thing. Well, I like that a lot. Now, I just knowing Serena's personality, I'm not sure if she would accept that, but it would be kind of touching if she makes a comment Like, because, you know, at the end of the day, if, let's say, it ends with all the U-boys and the bracelet girls, every U-boy will have a bracelet girl back on their side. Yuzu and Yuya, Yuri and Yuto, Rin and Yugo. But then you have Serena and Yuri, which are kind of odd cards, odd men out, so to speak. And I could see Yuri just saying something like, I'm better on my own, and he just kind of leaves, makes like a witty remark or something, maybe says something to annoy Yugo and then leaves, and that's that. But for Serena, it would be nice if she maybe says the same thing and she goes her own way, but she makes a comment to Akabas and says something like, by the way, I look up to you as my own brother, or I view you as my own brother, or something along those lines, and Akabas just kind of gives a little smile or something like that, and that's how that interaction ends. I think that would be kind of cool, because those two are odd men out, so I don't think they would like state, right, we're gonna adopt Serena or bring her under our wing, but I think it would be cool with all the work that Akabas has done, especially going out of his way to protect Serena in the past. I think it would be cool if she maybe makes an ending statement like that, or something along those lines. Death Machine asks, so I rewatched the series and saw that when Yugo and Yuto were dueling, they went into Berserk, but Yuya didn't. After he got Yuto's body, he started going into Berserk mode. Why is that? Well, once Yuto and Yuya formed, I think this has been said, the darkness increased, because the darkness of Zarc was in all four of them. So when they merged, now there's double the amount of darkness in one body. I think that's why it happened. But as for Berserk mode, it's something that to me is so strange. It's so strange to me, and here's why it's strange. During this duel, Yuto and Yugo, Yuya was not in Berserk mode, which is weird on its own. You had another duel where when Yugo dueled Serena, Yuya dueled through Yugo, but they weren't really in Berserk mode. Then you had a duel when Yuya and Yuto dueled Edo. Yuya and Yuto weren't in Berserk mode, but they were in some, like, minor form of it. Like, they weren't in, like, Berserk Rage mode. Like, there's different forms of Berserk mode at almost different levels of anger, it seems. Then there was another duel where Roger had that chip in Yuya's head, and all four, Yuri, Yugo, and Yuto, well, Yuto is already in Yuya, but Yuri and Yugo dueled alongside Yuya. And so I don't understand why in some cases that happens, and why in others it doesn't happen. Because Yugo and Yuri are dueling now, or there's been plenty of times where Yuya has dueled in Berserk mode, and Yugo and Yuri don't see through his eyes, and Yuya doesn't see through Yugo's eyes. Like, that only happened once or twice. So, Berserk mode, to me, there's a lot of kind of flaws in it. I feel like there's a lot of inconsistencies. So, when it comes to questions like this, I kind of just shrug and say, you know, whatever they do, because there's a lot of inconsistencies. Unless someone has maybe a better explanation than I do for why there might be these inconsistencies, because I am very curious as to really the logistics of it all. Well, here's a question from Akabas, who always asks great hypothetical questions. Just for fun, let's pretend it's the year 2013. Let's pretend that you're somehow in the same table where director Ono and his writing team are planning next year's show called Arc 5. Suddenly, someone from the filler department raises his hand and brings 4 filler concepts to the table. After everyone finishes listening to these unhealthy concepts that even the director himself seems to be okay with, you from the review department raise your hand and tell everyone that having all of this could affect the story of the show. After that, director Ono laughs maniacally and tells you that you can only erase 1. What would it be then? Yuya's 4 qualifying duels, the Drag to Death Friendship Cup, XZ's Egao Infection Arc, BB Survival Mini Arc, and then Reiji's option, card the guy from the filler department. I wonder if they actually have a filler department, and the sad thing is, I can see a situation like this playing out, where someone says, you know, to have this much filler, it might be an issue, and then Director Ono just laughs and says, you can only erase 1. That's great. He's just, Akabas, he's a funny guy, but, the 4 qualifying duels, I would not get rid of that, because we're still being introduced to Yuya. Yes, the Cook duel and the Quiz duel were bad, but I thought the duel with Miru was actually very entertaining, and that was the duel, believe it or not, because a lot of people don't know this, but I took a break from Yu-Gi-Oh, and I didn't catch up on Arc 5 until we were in around episode 65, episode 70. So I binge-watched the show spring semester last year, so I wasn't caught up until around episode 75, 76. The duel against Miru, when I really said to myself, like, wow, I really enjoy this show. Like, this Yu-Gi-Oh! Could be the greatest spin-off, and again, this is back early episodes, could be the greatest spin-off, could be the greatest Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime they've done. I think a lot of people had that feelings. So one of those qualifying duels was, and it wasn't the one you listed, but it was one of the duels that really got me invested. Then I remember I went back to school that night, and my roommate was asleep at like 11 o'clock, I literally watched Arc 5 from like 11:30 to 5:30. Just had my headphones on, and I binge watched about 10 episodes, and I did that for like 4 nights until I was completely caught up. I was so invested in the show. And that duel was the one that like really set it off for me. So I'd keep that. I would keep the survival mini arc because while it was kind of dumb, it did, clear the field a little bit. The XZ's Egao arc was just, I don't think I hated it as much as some people. It was just too short. And I think that arc would have been improved if we get rid of the Drag to Death Friendship Cup. I've criticized the Synchro arc before. That's the one I'm getting rid of. I forgot Crow and Gangenzuka even dueled. Get rid of that duel. Shinji and Tsukikage, no. Yuya vs. Duel Chaser 227, no. I mean, Yuya vs. Shinji, no. And Yuya vs. Crow. I don't remember the Yuya vs. Crow. I know Yuya was in Berserk mode, but I don't remember that duel being horrible. Then again, the Synchro arc is just kind of a blur to me. I really did not... It was an okay arc, but there were some duels here, like Crow Gangenzuka, the Shun and Dennis duel and the Shun and Crow duel, though, were very good. And I remember the Yuya and Crow duel being decent. I enjoyed the Yuya and Jack duel, but there were too many filler duels. There were just too many duels that I think most people didn't care about, like Crow and Gangenzuka, Shinji and Tsukikage. Just looking at these matchups, it's really like, wow, they were just desperate to fill time for whatever reason. So number 2, that's what I'm getting rid of. But really interesting question, and I'd like to hear the response from a few of you, because I think if you get rid of number 2 and you get rid of 10 episodes from that arc, I think you can add a lot of that time into number 3 and make that arc a little more understandable and a little more realistic. Teddy Boy, hi Dylan, I hope you can give me some advice. I really want to start posting videos on YouTube, but I feel my voice sounds funny, and it makes me feel that it would not work for YouTube. Can you give me some advice to much increase my confidence? Well, first thing I'm going to say is confidence is tough. It's something that you can't really gain, and I'm saying this because, believe it or not, I'm a very low confident person. Like, if I have to get up and make a presentation in front of like 20 people for like a class, I can't eat for like 24 hours prior. I have to rehearse it like 5 or 6 times, and I know that might sound like a shock because I might seem very confident behind a microphone, and yes, in reality, I don't think that I'm talking to, 1,000-2,000 people. If I actually thought of that concept, that might turn me off a little bit. But in all honesty, confidence is something that you can fake. But you know what? I'm not going to get into that because that's all psychology of leadership, which is a class I'm taking because I'm a resident assistant and it's a class they make you take. So I'm not going to get into the theories and stuff like that because that's over my head. It's over a lot of people's head. I hate to say this, but it's not cheap being a YouTuber, and there's a lot of YouTube channels that are starting off that the audio quality isn't great. I think if you get a decent microphone, you don't have to get a crazy good microphone, but you probably will have to spend maybe $50. The microphone I have was like $120 because I was very serious about getting into it, but in the beginning I had a microphone that was about $50. The one I have right now is the Blue Yeti. The one I had to start was the Blue Snowball. So there's just some suggestions. So if your quality sounds good, that definitely should improve your confidence a little bit. But start with little things. Start with 2 to 3 minute videos. And then, if you really feel comfortable, then you can get into talking and rambling on for an hour, which is what I do in the Q&As, which is what I do in the podcasts. I'm extremely comfortable. And believe it or not, YouTube was something I did back in 2007, 2008 when I was like 14 years old. I used to do like walkthroughs of like Super Mario games. That channel is still up, but I'm not gonna say what channel that is. If someone finds it, I'll give them like 10 packs of Yu-Gi-Oh cards. No, I actually won't do that. But it's a channel that's still up. It had like 300 subs. But YouTube is something that I've been doing for a long time. It's not until last year that my friend Pete on Clueless Gamer said, you should get back into it, you should come on the channel with me. So I did, and then I kind of branched off a little bit and started this Yu-Gi-Oh! Everything channel just because I didn't want to flood that channel with Yu-Gi-Oh! Content because, that channel's more of a diverse channel than just Yu-Gi-Oh! But start with small videos, 2 to 3 minutes, just giving discussions or something like that, and then go into maybe longer videos. And I think a very important thing is to buy a microphone that helps your audio quality sound good. And just, if you have to do 5 to 6 different takes, do 5 to 6 different takes. Again, there's times where I'll really start stuttering on a word, but you guys will never hear that because I just cut that out. So make sure you're editing your audio too. No one is going to flawlessly talk for 40 minutes like it might seem that I do, even though I'm sure a lot of my thoughts are all over the over the place even after I edit. There's a lot of times where I just go completely blank, where I stop talking in the middle of a sentence because I realize it makes no sense. So just understand that even though there are people on YouTube, maybe like me, I don't know if you view me as a confident person, I don't view myself as a confident person, there's always issues there, and no one is ever as flawless, no one is perfect, no one is as flawless as they seem, and you just have to learn to trust yourself, because there's a lot of people that do feel this way, and I even feel this way to some degree, but you know, everyone thinks their own voice sounds weird or annoying, and trust me, it really, really does not. It's about the words that you're saying and the points that you're making more than anything else. And as long as you're polite and kind, people will respect that. And so hopefully that's some advice that helps you out. And if it's any consolation, if you do end up making videos, I would love to be a subscriber, Teody Boy. And that goes to anyone. If you want me to subscribe, just let me know. And that's what Fan Fridays are for. So, yeah. The Redstone Minecart. What happened to ritual summonings in Arc 5? I have no idea, man. That's a good question. I mean, there were so many rumors and theories that there was going to be a ritual dimension. Miru brought it up. You know, she was not the ritual dimension, but she was the one who dueled. Miru dueled using rituals, and then they just completely forgot about it. It's the forgotten method. I have really nothing else to add to that, but it's a shame that it just kind of was swept under the rug, really. Tivendor, do you think that Yuri will get another duel after he battles against Kaito, Edo, and Yugo, or do you think they will not have enough time in the series for it? This was asked 2 weeks ago before we got spoilers, before we even saw the Yuri and Kaito, Edo, and Yugo duel, and I'm gonna go on a bit of a rant here. Not really a rant, but just something that I've noticed is I would have to say Yuri, as of late, is maybe the most hated character in Arc 5, which really surprises me, and this, again, is from all the comments that I've read. Yuri, to me, is a very entertaining character, and I like him a lot. I think he adds an evil dimension, like a really twisted dimension that Arc 5 kind of lacks. And people are just claiming that he's very overpowered, and he's just becoming predictable, and he's boring, and he's winning every duel. But I'm gonna defend Yuri here. The first time we saw him duel in a full duel was episode 106, which, yes, that's a huge pacing mistake. Episode 106. So that was the first time we saw him in a full duel. He dueled 5 no-names. He OTK'd them, which I guess you'd understand because it's 5 no-names. The next time we saw him duel was against Asuka in 123. That was 17 episodes later, and he defeated Asuka. Asuka put up a decent fight, but he defeats Asuka. Then he defeats Sora, but we barely saw that duel. And now he defeats Kaito and Edo. And yes, okay, you can say, well, he's just defeating everyone. But Kaito and Edo were at a 2,000 life point disadvantage. Yugo did most of the work. In fact, I'd say Yugo did 90% of the work, and Yuri just stole the kill. It's like when you're playing Call of Duty or one of those shooting games, and you get someone down or you injure them, like you do all the work, and then someone just takes the kill, which is the most aggravating thing. That's pretty much what happened here. So I think it's a real stretch to say Yuri defeated Kaito and Edo. Technically, yes, but they were at a 2,000 life point disadvantage, and Yugo did 90% of the work. It looks like, based off the spoilers, he's going to defeat Yugo, then he will duel Yugioh, maybe he'll defeat Yugioh as well, and then I think Yuya will take him down. Ever since he was introduced in episode 3540 when he was hunting down Yuzu, I forget the exact episode, my mindset has been Yuya will be the one to defeat him. So I'm okay with this path, because if you look at it, I really think it's a stretch to say he defeated Kaito and Edo. He defeated the 5 no-names. He defeated Asuka, which makes sense because they're both members of Academia, but Yuri is a higher ranking member of Academia. Same with Sora, so those 2 duels make sense. It would have been an upset the other way around. And I think a lot of fans are angry with the result of that Yuri-Asuka duel. I'm not angry at that result at all. My anger is with the horrible writing leading up to that duel for Asuka's character. You know, sure, Asuka could have won that duel, but to me it wouldn't have made sense. Yuri needed that win more, because at the end of the day, this show is more about the Arc 5 characters than the Generation characters, so to speak. Asuka should have beaten Dennis. It shouldn't have beaten Kaito. That's where I think most of the anger should be. I think a lot of people are taking their anger out on Yuri and the writing in that duel. That's just my take on it, though, and of course I'm only one opinion. I'm just trying to defend Yuri to some degree, because I have seen a lot of people giving him hate, and it kind of has surprised me a little bit, but, you know, everyone has their own opinion. Everyone is entitled to their own opinion. Will he actually defeat Yugo? Who knows? It looks that way. Will he defeat Yugioh? Who knows? But, you know, the Asuka and Sora wins were kind of predictable. They were kind of predictable. Again, he's a higher ranking member. Kaito and Edo, he had massive amounts of help from the intrusion penalty life points to Yugo doing most of the work, and if he defeats Yugo, Yugo used up a lot of his cards, a lot of his trap cards, a lot of his monster cards, and his hand is probably at 0 after this point. So if Yuri defeats Yugo, you almost have to give the assist to Edo and Kaito. They really, and I think that's what the writers were going for. Those three just nailed each other, and now Yuri is just going to pick up the spoils of victory, so to seem. And then if he duels Yugioh, I would like to see a struggle. I think a struggle is good for his character. Maybe even a sign of worriness or something along those lines. But for him to come out on top, I think that would maybe be the end result. We'll see. And then Yuya defeats him. We'll see what happens there. But I think there definitely will be more Yuri duels. That's just my opinion on it, though. But you guys let me know what you think of that little rant. If you think I'm just completely wrong, or if you kind of understand where I'm coming from, because I understand where the anger is towards him. But I feel like it is a little unwarranted. But I mean, that's just my opinion. Intense Gamer, I'm going to answer the first one. If Roger ever does come back and find out that Leo's plan was to being back Ray, how do you think Roger will react to this? Well, Roger, I don't think Roger's coming back, but another character along with Roger that I think a lot of people have forgotten about is Barrett. Where the heck is Barrett? Barrett should be in Academia, right? And we have not seen him. I hope he's not a character that we just never hear from again, and we just always wonder what happened to him. I really think Roger was taken to, like, a dark, like, I think he was taken almost to a black hole in the sky. I think Roger is maybe genuinely, like, dead. Like, not carded, like, genuinely dead. And that's very dark of me to say. But let's say hypothetical, if he does come back, because that's the question, I think he will react. Again, the Synchro arc is such a blur. It's bad on my part. I really should remember it. I forget his motives, but his motives was just that he wanted the girls because he wanted power or leverage, maybe, something along those lines. So, if he comes back, maybe he would duel Leo. Maybe it would be like an Aporia Zone duel. I'm not quite sure. I just don't think he's going to come back, to be honest. If he does, I think he would duel Leo, and I think whoever he duels, he would lose. I don't think he would be redeemed as a character. I think he would lose, and that would be that. StarGenex343, do you think it's possible Yuya could change Zarc, like show Zarc the fun side of dueling and his smile philosophy? God, I hope not. Imagine if it ends with Yuya egg-owing Zarc, and that's how Arc 5 ends. No, I want to see some true anger and some true darkness here. And again, that might sound a little dark on my part, but I want to see Ray be the one to defeat Zarc and bring Zarc to maybe his senses to a degree. Yuya does not seem to be at all in his own mind when Zarc is around, so to show Zarc smiles, and I would have a tough time accepting that. I don't think it would happen. Rin and Yugioh, do you think that Yugo will be turned into a card, or will he be saved by someone? Good work, I love your videos, thank you very much. Based on the summaries that we've gotten, I really think Yuri will defeat Yugo, and Yuri will absorb Yugo, and that will be that. And then maybe after that, he'll card Edo and Kaito, maybe he'll card Sora. That'll be interesting to see, but I think that Yugo, in the very next episode, might be gone, so to speak. He might become one with Yuri. Antonio Davis, who do you think created pendulum summoning? Zarc, Ray, Astrograph Magician, Yuya, others? I was wondering for a while now. Also, thank you for the video. You made my day. Thank you so much, Antonio. Means a lot. Boy, this question is just, it's like, should be such a simple question, but it's just not. I'm going to guess someone you actually didn't say. I'm going to guess Leo Akaba played a massive part in creating pendulum summoning. He has pendulums. Maybe pendulum summoning was a well-known thing in the original dimension.Maybe Ray will use pendulums. I mean, that's not crazy to think of. But Leo created this state-of-the-line technology. It's not, I don't think it's that far of a reach to say he created pendulum summoning. Yuya got pendulum cards because he is Zarc, and maybe it just happened naturally that way. Maybe that was Zarc's will to bring pendulums to standard. Again, anime and manga, two separate things, but Leo did create it in the manga, so it will be, and it did lead somewhat to the world's destruction. Maybe not pendulums themselves, but something went horribly wrong in the past in the manga, similar to this, except Leo is alive, so in the current day and age. So, I'm gonna guess Leo Akaba. 73CH.N1N3, do you think the writers will find a way to bring Ray back and the united world without getting rid of the Bracelet Girls? That's the vibe I'm getting from the ending where all the Bracelet Girls and you boys are together. Great question, and that vibe I think is going to be the last 5 episodes. I think after it's all said and done, after the issues with Ray and Zarc are handled, I think all 4 of them, the Bracelet Girls and the U-Boys, will go back to their original bodies. That's what I'm thinking. I don't think it's going to end dark where Yuya and the 4 you-boys get killed off or something crazy like that, which would be a crazy dark ending. And it would actually be very ironic for a show that has pushed Yugioh down all of our throats, and I would give them a lot of props for that if they did something as bold as that, where the whole theme is smile, bring smiles to everyone, and then like the last episode, the 4 you-boys get permanently killed off. That would be crazy, but I'm not trying to scare anyone. I don't think that would happen. It just would be crazy ironic if they did something like that. So the vibe I'm getting, yes, I think after the whole thing, I don't think they'll be able to bring Ray back without getting rid of the Bracelet Girls. I just think that once Ray defeats Zarc, or when Zarc is handled, then Ray will say, alright, I'm going to split back into my 4 forms, and that will be it. And so that's what I'm thinking is going to happen. Yoli Eureka, 25. Q&A, if the 6th main protagonist is a female, and there's 3 questions. Keep up the good work and the best of luck to you. Thank you very much. Means a lot. 6th protagonist is a female. What type? I'm going to answer these very quickly because I might make part of my Road to Yu-Gi-Oh! 6. The very last video I might do is like a 10-minute projection of what I personally really want to see. So, and that is a 6th female protagonist. So what type of personality? Reserved and calm. I would like her to be kind of more calculated, kind of like a Yusei, like a Droit from Zexal. I think that's like a personality I would like her to have. Her backstory, kind of dark, a darker backstory just because I like elements of darkness. What age would you want her to be? I would like her to be 15 and older. I think that would be fine. Even if she's 15, which they can draw her decently young, because I think Yuya and Yuma are 13 or whatever. I think 15 would be great. I'd rather her not be too young, because the younger she is, the less likely she'll be. You know, the younger a character is, the more, like, excited and hyper they'll be. Which, again, I'm not criticizing, but we've seen that the last 6 years of Yu-Gi-Oh! And I want to change. Just as, like, when we saw Yugi and Atem, Judai, and Yusei, and the protagonists were getting older, when they announced a kid, Yuma, was going to be the 4th protagonist, I was not opposed to that. I was welcoming the change. So, it goes both ways, and if they do older protagonists for the 6th and 7th show, which hopefully there is a 6th and 7th show, then on the 8th show, I wouldn't really mind a hyper pumped up kid just to change the feelings at all. I'm not criticizing younger characters. But I would like her to be 16, dark backstory, maybe like a tragic event happened in her childhood, so that leads to her calm and reserved personality. Something along those lines I would like a lot. Zarc Magician, do you think they would ever do Deck Masters again, like in Duel Monsters? I do not. I liked that concept a lot, but I don't think they would do something like that. Also, the 4 cards that Leo is holding in the opening, when the silhouettes of Zarc and Ray appear, are the 4 spells he created. I did realize that, and so thank you for pointing that out, because I don't think I ever brought it up in one of these videos, but I realized that after the fact that he was holding 4 ritual cards when I did my in-depth analysis of opening 6 and ending 6. He was holding 4 cards. They are the cards that he used to save the world, ironically, so that's definitely an interesting reference that takes place in the final opening of Arc 5. Menashaya, for me, my list is Zexal, Duel Monsters, Arc 5, 5Ds, and GX in terms of favorite shows. For Q&A, who do you think Jack is going to duel? And this is a very, very interesting question, because we've just gotten 132 and 133 summaries, and it doesn't say anything about Jack, Shingo, and Gangenzaga, who have now been gone for, if they don't appear in 133, for over 10 episodes, and we probably only have about 15 episodes left. So, if I'm predicting who Jack is going to duel, here's my prediction, actually. and this is a bit of a bold prediction, I think Zarc will be revived after Yuya and Yuri duel, because whoever loses, I think they're going to become one anyway. So I think it's just kind of, and someone pointed that out in the comments, and it's like, it doesn't really matter who wins that duel, because if Yuya and Yuri duel, Zarc is going to be revived, and you would believe that. It would lead you to believe that. Zarc will be revived. Here's what I'm starting to believe. Shingo, Gangenzaka, and Jack, those three, or maybe just Jack, will challenge Zarc. And Zarc will not wipe the floor with them, but he will defeat all three of them. And I guess he wouldn't card them, because unless Zarc carded people, I can't remember. I don't think he I think he legitly, like, killed people. I mean, when the monsters attacked the stadium in that flashback, there were obviously, you have to imagine there were some casualties. So I don't think he would card them. And it's weird because in Zexal, you were in a state where every time you lost a duel, you immediately, you were dead. Arc 5, it's not really the case here, unless that becomes the case. So that's why I don't know if they'd be killed off, but I think Jack might duel Zarc. I really do think that. I think it would be an and maybe he'll be alongside Shingo and Gangenzaka. I just can't see who else they would duel. They would lose, and then maybe you would have Leo Akaba and Reiji duel Zarc. They would lose, and then Ray takes on Zarc, and Ray defeats him, or something along those lines. It's just very interesting, because again, they've never done it where the main protag is also the main antagonist. I'm very, so like, in all the shows, you know, you knew who was gonna, you know, save the world. It was gonna be Yugi or Tem. It was Yugi. You knew it was gonna be Judah. You knew it was gonna be Yusei. You knew it was gonna be Yuma. Who's it gonna be in Arc 5? Is it gonna be Yuya? I really hope it's not. Because I think it would be a really cool twist and a really cool, you know, change of pace that, you know, oh yeah, the main world in Arc 5 wasn't saved by the guy in this picture who's the main character. He was actually the one trying to destroy the world. It was saved by, you know, the girl or Ray or Akaba Reiji. I think that would be really cool. So that's that's a bold prediction, but that's who I think Jack will duel next. What do you guys think? What's the next path that these characters that we have not seen in so long are going to take? Because I'd love to hear your thoughts down below. Anthony Acuna, if Ray does defeat Zarc Yuya, would Yuya possibly die? This is the final question. It's possible. I'm not going to say it's not possible. I've already talked about this earlier in the video. I personally do not think Yugioh would do that. I don't think Yugioh, I really just don't think they've done some very dark stuff, especially in like Duel Monsters and GX. You know, in the earlier stages, especially in like the Duel Monsters manga. Not to say they haven't done dark stuff in all the series. It's not what I'm saying, but I don't think they would do something like this. I really don't think they would kill off Yuya. Yes, it's possible. I'm not going to say like, oh no, they definitely wouldn't do it. It's a small chance, but I would not worry about it. I think Ray will defeat Zarc, and I think that will maybe get rid of, if there is maybe a fifth entity controlling the four U-boys, and let Zarc live peacefully, because I doubt Zarc was always this way. I feel like there is an outside force controlling him. That's another theory in itself, though. But that's my thoughts on it. You guys, please answer any question you feel you want to get your thoughts heard or your voice heard, because I would love to hear your thoughts down below, as always, and I really hope you enjoyed another Q&A video. I do these once a month. I know this one was actually pretty quick in terms of the last Q&A video, but I have a lot of stuff due at the end of November, including like a 15-page paper, so I wanted to get this video out there before like the end of the month started coming, and you know, I might not have been able to get it out towards the end of this month. So the December one is the next Q&A, but leave all of your questions down below in the comments. I will hopefully answer as many as I can in the next Q&A. Again, if I missed your question, I do apologize. For everyone that sent me questions, thank you so much. Again, I would not do these segments without the just continuous support of you guys. It really is amazing. But I really hope you enjoyed. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.